Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the Cycling Dane Extra channel if you're listening to the Cycling Dane podcast. As always, I'm joined by Patrick Blake of Value Cycling, and today we're talking about Jonas Vingegaard and not his criterium crash. But today we're going to do like we did with Tadej Pogačar, kind of try and string together a program from the rumors and the things that have been said in the press and what we think could be his ideal program for 2026. But Patrick, Jonas Vingegaard 2025. Not too bad actually, you have to say, given the Paris-Nice crash. At the Tour de France, he finished second, Dauphiné second, Vuelta winning that. So on paper, not too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad from Vingegaard. I think, if I was looking at it as like a team manager perspective, if it wasn't for that Vuelta victory, it would not have been a good season. But that Vuelta definitely came in clutch towards the end to help kind of buoy things upwards a little bit. But ultimately, their main concern is about the Tour de France. You know, their kind of golden boy. I know, like you said, they had that crash in Paris-Nice. How much that influenced his preparation. It seemed to perhaps have affected it more than we realised. The fact of the matter is they've lost the Tour de France 2 times on the bounce. And, well, we'll talk about that a little bit later as well, but what do you do as Visma going into a new season? Where do you send your prime GC candidate to try and get the most for the team? Is it worthwhile sending him to the Tour to probably finish second again? That's the sort of stuff we're going to be talking about today. But like you say, I think overall it was a decent season. It was, that win early on in Algarve, Paris-Nice DNF, Dauphiné, he was second place. He actually got 5 second places in that race, which is just ridiculous. For Tour, he was second. The Vuelta, he won. And overall, I think it was a decent season, but I think we're now going to be looking ahead as to what we think he's going to be doing in 2026.
So if we start like the early part of the season, it seems like the last few years he has actually, he always starts in around February, late February. I mean, this year he started in the Vuelta Algarve. He didn't look great on one of the climbs, but then finished it off by winning the time trial quite convincingly. 2024, he was in O Gran Camino, dominating that, winning 3 out of the 4 stages, and the only stage he didn't win was neutralized, that time trial. And 2023 he also won and dominated O Gran Camino, and again there the first stage was cancelled. Then in 2022, when obviously won his first Tour de France, he started in the Faune Ardèche and the Drone Classic, winning the Drone Classic. Then in 2021, just because that was the year he finished second in the Tour for the first time, he started in the UAE Tour. But obviously, the Gran Camino thing won't work this time because they're moving that race to, what is it, April, May? So that's not an option. We talked about Pogačar going to Australia. We've never seen Jonas Vingegaard in the Tour Down Under, if I'm not mistaken. 2019, his first year on the World Tour. I don't think he was there. No, he started in the Vuelta Andalucía. So from those things and like things that you can deduce, what do you think could be the best start for Jonas?
Seems to be, bear in mind this is with a Tour de France orientated main goal of the season, let's say. The general premise seems to be an early season February race. It's been Gran Camino. I mean, I know it was Algarve last year, which I know is in Portugal. People, don't worry, I haven't completely lost my mind. But get that early season kind of February race in, and then you're going to have a Tirreno or a Paris-Nice, and then maybe like a Basque Country after that as well.
But Giro, that is the big talking point.
Exactly. So if the Giro's in here, then how does that change things? I think he'll probably still start in February. I think you'll then see him at a Paris-Nice or a Tirreno, but I don't think there'll be a Basque Country in April. Sorry. I mean, he'll probably do an altitude camp then, right? And then get ready for a Giro d'Italia in May. We don't know the parcours of a Giro yet, do we? I think they're being released in early December, I think I read somewhere. So we don't know whether the parcours, air quotes, suit Jonas Vingegaard. I think they probably will do. If it's got mountains in there, it probably will do, which I'm going to guess they're going to throw some in there at some point. So I think that is the main deliberation of there's this talk about him doing a Giro. I'm not sure if that's in place of the Tour though, or just doing a bit of a Poggy 2024 Giro Tour double. What way do you see it going? Do you think Visma wouldn't send him to the Tour?
Oh, for sure, he has to. I think you have to send him to the Tour like that. No option not to. Yeah, because we talked about the idea of like him doing the Giro Welter, and I mean, there was talks about, well, people were trying to say that Pogacar wanted to skip the Tour, but you just can't. It's the biggest part of the sport. That's what most of the sponsors pay for, is the exposure at the Tour de France, and obviously you want your biggest names there, and especially the two who have finished top two for the last however many years. So obviously I think that's just a no-go. I think it is going to happen. The only reason Alberto Contador won the Giro Welter back in 2008, because he was a big star there as well, was because Astana wasn't invited to the Tour that year. So it's very exceptional circumstances that happens. But yeah, Patrick, you mentioned Pogacar 2024. And if we look at that, he actually started his season in March. Strade Bianche, Milan San Remo. Obviously, Jonas is probably not going to do that. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he'll get that Italian flavor. Please do it, Jonas, please. Well, if judging by that European road race, maybe not. Then he goes to the Volta a Catalunya. And I mean, this year, that's quite a good one to go to, considering that the Grand Depart is in that region. Then he went to Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and then he went to the Giro d'Italia. So, I mean, comparing that, Patrick, how do you see Jonas doing that?
I was looking at also the dot pro races, those kind of Andalusias sort of the world. So next year you've got, Comunitat Valenciana is very early on in February, 4th to the 8th. Then you get like Tour of Oman around that same time as well. Algarve is from the 18th to the 22nd, alongside the Ruta del Sol, also from the 18th to the 22nd. So maybe you see Jonas maybe does Algarve again, or it could be Andalusia, or maybe does Comunitat Valenciana and Andalusia to try and really get those race days in early on, to try and get kind of those race days in before the Giro. This is based on him doing a Giro. After that, I don't know. I reckon, yes, probably Catalonia. Like you say, with the Tour starting next year, and we're agreeing that there's no way Visma don't send their main GC guy to the Tour de France. I don't think a sponsor would really be happy about that. So it makes sense to go to Catalonia instead of like a Paris-Nice or Tirreno. So I reckon, yeah, you could see maybe some more race days early on, because trying to get his anaerobic accumulated time, which a lot of pros tend to do during races rather than during training. So getting those, that Ruta del Sol, Andalusia, Catalonia, and then honestly, I reckon you might just not see him before the Giro. It might just be altitude camp after that. I don't see him being a Tour of the Alps kind of guy, really. Like, he doesn't really seem like that sort of person. And I don't know, maybe you see him doing some Basque Country, maybe in April. But I don't think you'd really see more than that. I don't see one-day races being on here at all. And I think it's probably quite a lot of, Spanish warm-up, I suppose, is where my thinking is.
Spanish races as a warm-up for an Italian Grand Tour. That's quite funny. But, I mean, here's the King of Spain right now. So, I think also the climb there as well is pretty good at that time of year for Spain. I mean, there's been talks of, I don't think he's going to go to Tour Down Under. I don't know if he would go to UAE Tour. Maybe you just want to limit, because all the traveling adds up, obviously. So I would just limit it and just focus on Spain or Portugal. I think your plan is a good idea. Yeah, we don't know anything about the Giro route, so we can't really comment on that. But it'll probably be a bit like Pogacar when he did his, with not really anyone rivaling him if he's on top form. And it'll be a bit of a Vingegaard show, maybe akin to what we saw in the Vuelta. Okay, he was sick during the Vuelta. Maybe if he's completely fine, no interruptions, then he's going to dominate that Giro d'Italia, become the first ever Dane to win that. Do you see him going to the Dauphiné after that? Yeah, what does his preparation between the Giro and the Tour look like? Is it just go to the Dauphiné or Tour de Suisse?
I don't reckon it would be anything. The full cold turkey. Don't think he'd do anything between the Giro and the Tour. I think he'd just be trying to recover as much as possible. Grand Tour's going to take it out of you, and you have the additional. Basically, going to a Dauphiné to probably get beaten by Pogacar is probably not ideal. You always want to keep your cards close to your chest and not do that much. And on a sort of a side note, it'd be interesting to see what Jorgensen can do in a Grand Tour setting, or going to the Dauphiné as like an absolute leader sort of thing. He's done well in Paris-Nice, so it'd be interesting to see what he could do. This isn't like a Visma preview show. I'm just saying that they've got options in terms of who they can send to places. Yeah, I think they'll just keep their cards close to the chest, and Jonas will just get dropped into Barcelona at the start, and nobody will know how he's going except him, his coach, and his team manager probably.
Yeah, I think you're right. The question we had with Tadej Pogacar in 2024 was that he'd never done 2 Grand Tours. I mean, Jonas has. He did the Tour and the Vuelta in 2023, and then obviously in 2024, the Tour and the Vuelta. So I think he does pretty well, 2 Grand Tours. I would think he was the strongest rider in both those Vueltas after the Tour. Sorry, Sepp Kuss.
Yeah. Is there a possibility that he doesn't do the Tour and just Giro Vuelta, wins both? And Visma have a change of tack, and they sort of go with a different psychology into the Tour, and they try and see what Jorgensen can do.
Are you getting paid by Jorgensen's agent?
Jorgensen's a guy. I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me. Visma have had some left field signings, and they seem to just be thinking in a slightly out of the box manner at the moment, and it wouldn't surprise me if they throw a curveball in and there's a possibility where Jonas doesn't do the Tour and they try and get him to bag 2 Grand Tours rather than going to the Tour de France, where kind of we saw nobody will probably get beaten by Pogacar. Sounds very defeatist to say already, but he seems like a fairly insurmountable force at the moment. Why would you send your best GC rider to a Tour where he's probably not going to win a stage, probably not going to win the overall, when you could instead recover him and go to the Vuelta instead with full preparation, have a better chance of winning that? Surely that's logical to do that as like more of a certainty rather than just using your bullets after the Giro, suboptimal build up to the Tour to ultimately get whooped anyway. It wouldn't surprise me to see Visma do something different. You got Wout, Sepp Kuss, Simon Yates, Jorgensen, whoever else. You could still build a strong squad for the Tour. It's just not going to have Jonas there. And I think that's the main thing. It doesn't hurt to not send him. But if he's going to lose, then why not just send him to the Vuelta where he might win?
It is still a podium place, as Mespelsen said after Jonas Vingegaard finished second again. That he was like, this is a mega result. He's still finishing second in the Tour de France. Yeah, I see what you mean. And I mean, it's just the Tour is the Tour. We know it as well. I mean, you can even put it this way. Is winning the Tour bigger than winning the Giro and Vuelta in the same year? I think it is.
Yeah, true. But is winning the Giro and winning the Vuelta bigger than winning the Giro and finishing second at the Tour?
Yeah, that's the hard one. I would almost say it's probably is bigger finishing second in the Tour than winning the Vuelta.
You reckon?
Commercially, I would say. Maybe
Yeah.
not like on your Palmares, but it's just, yeah. It hurts me to say it, but that's just the reality. That's where all the eyeballs are.
If he does the Tour, what does he do for the rest of the season? The latter half of the season, outside of the Vuelta, is very one-day race heavy. And as we know, Jonas Vingegaard is not a one-day racer. It's not like he's going to be building towards the World Championships. So, Giro Tour, we don't see him until 2027.
Yeah, I think so.
Just goes on a massive holiday, a massive 3-month bender.
But I'd like to see him at the Tour of Denmark. He's never won that. He's done it before and came second. I don't think he will go to that, to be honest. Maybe, well, Crow Race, probably not. Tour of Guangxi, that would be great, but that's the kind of guy you need to send to Tour of Guangxi for people to care about the Tour of Guangxi. One-day races, I mean, no, we both kind of agree with that. I don't think he'll be at the Worlds, to be honest. He was meant to go to the Worlds in Rwanda, didn't go. He went to the Europeans. We all know what happened there. So, yeah, it probably will be the end of his season after the Tour if he doesn't do the Vuelta.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of adds a bit more weight to that Giro Vuelta idea. But this is all on the premise that he's going to the Giro, which has kind of been rumoured around a bit. So we'll have to wait and see whether that actually comes to fruition or not, because I think that Giro really shapes what's going to happen for the rest of the season.
Do you think he wins the Giro?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If Poggi doesn't go, I think he wins the Giro fairly easily. He's pretty good in like cold weather, we've seen. He's fairly reliable, and he's fairly unshakable. Like, at the moment, he's the second best GC rider in the world, and I think is a decent gap to like that third place clustering. So I think if he goes, I think it is a win as long as he stays upright and he's healthy.
Do you think he still finishes second in the Tour?
Off of the Giro, I think it's uncertain. You know, I think you got Red Bull have got a lot of steam behind them at the moment. Don't know. It's hard to say. I think that it's not a certainty of finishing second in that Tour de France, because you just don't know how you're going to react after the Giro d'Italia.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens if this Giro Tour double. But kudos for Jonas if he actually does go ahead with this, because we sometimes think it's a bit of a conservative program. But anyways, with that, that's basically it for this video. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do check us out on Spotify as well, and comment down below what you think Jonas should be doing in next year's World Tour season. And of course, we'll be back when they have made the confirmation of the program as well. But for now, thank you for watching, and we will see you around.